Chapter 5. Ascension, MAIRAJ, and Miracles, MOJEZA. Ascension, MAIRAJ. Ascension is the experience of the highest spiritual elevation of the Holy Prophet. This experience took him closest possible to the Sublime Throne of the Almighty. It was an experience transcending all limits of time and space. It was an experience of transforming physical existence into a purely spiritual existence. This was the occasion of the vesting of the highest knowledge of the universe. No son of Adam can ever reach that level of knowledge. The Holy Prophet was bestowed the divine vision to observe the entire universe with his eyes. No man can ever claim to have a knowledge of the universe like him. The Holy Prophet covered the territorial journey from Kaaba in Mecca, the house of Allah, to the distant mosque in Jerusalem. There he led a prayer accompanied by all the previous prophets. It signifies that the spiritual leadership on this earth is now entrusted to the Holy Prophet. He is the final authorized commandant of the messages of Allah. He is the spiritual suzerain on earth. The last messenger of Allah is designated as the spiritual guide for the entire human race. It is to be noted that the Holy Prophet experienced the Ascension a year before he migrated to Medina. Those were the days when he was hard-pressed by the atrocious animosity of the Quraysh, and still, the Holy Prophet proclaimed, "The day is not far when you all will be subdued," and it turned out to be true. Ascension is usually dated on the night of the 27th Rajab, a year before the migration. It is an event of immense importance, implying far-reaching implications of spiritual as well as temporal significance. Miracle, MOJEZA. The Holy Prophet announced that the task assigned to him was to lead the people to the right faith, the desirable way of life. He moreover insisted that the evil practices prevalent in society must be shunned, and they should worship and adore Allah alone. Allah is one and has no partner. Idol worship is the wrong way of life. The Quraysh of Mecca, rather than the entire pagan Arabs, were idolaters. They did not like his preachings. The Quraysh protested that if he was a true messenger of Allah, he should perform miracles. The Holy Prophet did not approve of demonstrating miracles. He invited them to think rationally and judge the problems of life, based on justice and equity. The reckless Quraysh clamored for a miracle. In the presence of a large number of people in Mina, he made a sign at the full moon, and the moon was split into two. The Holy Prophet warned them to note and accept the right path. Most of the people had wicked hearts, and they did not change their way of life. The Holy Prophet continued his preachings in right earnest. He invited them to be rational in their thinking and behave judiciously. The truth is that his very presence was full of blessings. There was plenitude in material things, animated the animal beings, produced fertility in plants, young immature kids produced milk, and the flinging of pebbles worked as deadly missiles. Such miracles happened incidentally. He did not need to demonstrate miracles to make the people accept Islam. Rather, he asked his followers never to be carried away by miracles. A miracle is something that blurs the vision and befogs the mind. Faith is something to be appreciated by clear thinking. Faith is to be evaluated in light of future consequences. Faith is the course of disciplining practical life. Faith is to be accepted by rational thinking. Miracles. For the sake of illustration, some of the miracles of historic importance may be mentioned here. In the 13th year of the prophethood, the infidel Quraysh of Mecca grew desperate and hatched a plan to do away with the Prophet once and for all. One stalwart, smart swordsman was selected from each tribe. 12 veteran swordsmen besieged the house of the Prophet. In the middle of the night, the Holy Prophet, reciting Surah Yasin, threw a handful of dust at them, which blinded them, and the Prophet passed through unobserved. He met Abu Bakr, and the two left for the cave of Thor. 3 days later they migrated to Medina. The watchful assailants were extremely exasperated as to how the Prophet could escape. The Quraysh of Mecca gathered a troop of 1,000 soldiers and marched towards Medina in pursuit of the Prophet. The Holy Prophet collected a group of 300 faithful followers to meet the offensive aggression of the Quraysh, who were sure to finally crush the movement of Islam. Apparently, there was no match between the two contending parties. The two forces met at Badr. The Holy Prophet was deeply engrossed in prayer and the two armies were engaged in the thick battle. The Holy Prophet raised his head from the prayer and threw a handful of pebbles at the foes. They were enervated, and 70 notable chiefs were slain. The victory of the Battle of Badr is the most remarkable event in the history of the stability of Islam. One more event is worth mentioning. In the Battle of Hunain, the Muslims had to face a severe reverse at the very start. The Muslim forces dispersed and felt lost. All the while the Holy Prophet remained quiet and perfectly composed. He asked one of his followers to give a call to all the Muhajirs and Ansars, or local groups, who immediately mustered around the Prophet. He arrayed them and gave orders to march against the foe. The two armies were daggers drawn. The Holy Prophet hurled a handful of pebbles at the foes, who being demoralized surrendered then and there. After this event, no Arab tribe did dare wage war with the Prophet. The very presence of the Holy Prophet was a living miracle. He inspired awe and reverence in the hearts of those who confronted feeling of devotion and spiritual excellence. The most illustrious miracle of all time that came through the Holy Prophet was the revelation of the Holy Qu'ran. Every generation of the human race shall experience the eternal light of the Holy Qu'ran. It is the most miraculous contribution of the Holy Prophet.